Good morning, guys. Today's video is going to be the August sort of garden and allotment tour. And as per normal, there's been some things that have gone really well and big successes, some things not so much. So yeah, I'm going to get into it. So I'm going to start the tour off here at the allotment, and as you can see, the pumpkins are doing really well. So the big change in the last sort of month is that some of the fruits are beginning to swell. I'm doing some really good close-ups, loads and loads of different pumpkins, and the more I look, the more I see. So I originally put down, I think, 6 plants, but I lost some. I then replaced one. So I think I've got about 5 living plants here. But if each plant gives me, 4 or 5 fruits, I could have 20 to 25 pumpkins. So yeah, gonna wait and see how it all pans out. But if you are interested in growing pumpkins, what I am doing as well is I'm doing a from seed to harvest video, which will probably be out in sort of hopefully October time. So yeah, do stick around for that. Next up is my little block of sweet corn, and the sweet corn's almost as tall as me now, a little bit taller than me in some of them, and they're all producing cobs now. You haven't grown sweet corn before, the big idea is that they're wind pollinated. So you've got the flowers here at the top, and it has to fall onto these sort of strands. And I'll get a little close up of it. Each pollen hits a strand and basically forms a sort of kernel of corn within the cob. So you need to ensure good wind pollination. So that's why you kind of grow them in a block. But what I really like is that I've kind of naturally got a Three Sisters approach kind of going on, whereby the squashes are starting to weave in between the legs of the corn. And one of the big benefits of that is moisture retention and weed suppression, which doesn't necessarily stop the bindweed that I've got here at the allotment, but it'll do. Now, with there being so many pumpkins here at the allotment, there's not a lot else going on at the allotment. I've got these leeks here, which I sowed in, I want to say April, and they're sort of doing their thing. Quite small, and I think I need to thin them out a bit more because they were sort of multi-sown, but I think I've multi-sown a bit too much. And I've also planted my Christmas potatoes here, variety Charlotte, and they're all sort of sprouting nicely. I probably am going to have to bring over a bag of compost, and as they grow a bit, sort of earth them up, just to stop any sort of potatoes that are sat near the surface getting hit by the sunlight and going that like kind of green color. The other thing, this bed here, and I'll do a close-up of it, is bindweed. So I came across with a sort of garden hoe and sort of hoed it off the other day, but I think probably the wrong thing to do, because I think what I did is I chopped up the roots and they've now kind of sprung up everywhere. So a little bit of a nightmare, but it's just that sort of hard graft of hand weeding, and you kind of get the job done basically. Now, before we head back to the sort of garden for the rest of the tour, I just want to show you the sort of wilderness sort of foraging area of the allotment behind me, and just show you what is starting to come ready now and what I can probably look forward to in the sort of autumn. First off is these lovely sort of reddy colour apples. Absolutely loads on them, but it looks like the tree hasn't had any kind of like pruning or treatment in like years. So bit worried like branches might snap and things like that, but it seems to be sort of doing okay. Next, something I didn't realize I had is a pear tree. I'd never looked closely at this tree, and I've had to like basically machete my way through like a jungle of bloody brambles. But yeah, there's a pear tree back here. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about harvesting that, but yeah, I mean, they're looking quite big as well. It could be ready soon. So I've got more apples here, but these ones seem to have some little sort of spotty disease on them. Not sure about that, but this whole tree is like almost collapsing under weight of like bindweed and things like that. So this autumn, I'm really going to sort of try and reclaim a lot of this. But what I am really enjoying are these little tiny red plums that are on this tree, and they're just about ready. A little bit sour, so I think maybe I'm eating them too early. But yeah, tiny little plums, and there's quite a few of them, not loads of them. Again, I think the tree maybe needs pruning, or I at least need to cut away the brambles of raspberries and gooseberries. And oh my, there's a pumpkin here. Oh, okay, so my pumpkin is growing from over here at the plot up into the weeds, even fruiting along the way. And there's a flower there at about 4 foot, 5 foot above ground level. Incredible. So we're in the garden now, and the first thing I want to show you before we go over to the raised vegetable beds is the blueberry bush. And this is the almost perfect time of year for blueberries. Almost all the berries are at a stage of ripening, and my Biggest tip for harvesting blueberries is you're looking for that real dark shade of blue. The whole berry kind of goes blue, but if you look at where the stem connects to the berry, if it looks like a sort of greeny purpley color, that berry's gonna be quite sour when you eat it. And if you want those like nice, sweet, sort of juicy blueberries, what you need to do is just need to wait till like the whole thing's got that nice sort of iridescent or dark blue, and that should be good. But yeah, no, I'll tell you what, absolutely, loving the blueberry bush. And obviously, in terms of care for them, the main thing is that you give them like a sort of ericaceous feed, whether that's sort of granular pellets or whether that's adding some ericaceous compost. And then you're also going to need to water them a lot with rainwater. Reason rainwater is because tap water can slightly sort of make the soil more alkaline, and blueberries like the acidic soil. Right, so the first very strong failure of the garden tour is my broccoli plants here. These were meant to be a autumn kind of big head Calabrese broccoli. Unfortunately, two things has happened. One, caterpillars. They're everywhere. I've not really done a lot with them this year. I've taken the hoop net off, so I'm hoping birds would come in and eat the caterpillars. There's more caterpillars than I think the birds want to eat. So basically I'm going to have to get rid of these plants. But the other thing I did wrong, and I think this is quite a common thing with a lot of brassicas, is I let them get too tall without any kind of support. So they were sort of rocking in the wind and things. And when they do that, the plant almost like knows not to put on a big fruitful head because it'll snap, it'll break, it'll be too top heavy. So I think, yeah, another thing is if your brassicas are getting quite big, give them some support. That way they're more likely to focus their energy on producing that big sort of harvest. Now, in the rest of this bed, there's quite a lot of blank space here, and there's not meant to be. It's just not going very well. So this here, this tiny little plant here that's not doing very well, is a swede plant. And I think basically the problem I had with swede was I had a bit of an issue with some compost. It was very like woody, horrible compost, and they kind of stalled the seedlings. And then as such, when I put them out here, they've not been able to sort of outrun the slugs and flea beetle and things. And it's a similar situation for my red cabbage, but I'm not too worried. And if you've got a similar situation like this, you can check out my August sowing video, whereby I will explain what you can sow this time of year to sort of recover and replenish. However, bit of a success. My carrots, my 2 rows of carrots here. And I'm just going to pull one because I spied one that looks quite big and see how they're getting. Oh my days. All right, that's that, guys. Zoom little tripod there. That's not what you want to see. It might be there was a stone under there or something. We'll pull out one more and we'll just again have a look. Okay, all right. They're not all like that. That's that one might have to go to the guinea pigs. But yeah, just be careful of carrots, I suppose. You want nice sort of free draining sandy soil without stones, and that's something I can't really give them in this bed. But they need to grow on a bit more, and then we'll see. So every year I have a favorite vegetable bed, and this year I think it's this one. But this bed here is kind of special because it's very much other than the zinnias in front of me here, which are looking brilliant and attracting hoverflies and things. But other than that, this bed is very much a winter bed. Everything here is designed to be in the winter. So yeah, let's go through what we've got here. Starting over on the left, we've got leeks, which is a variety called Musselburgh, which I think is what a lot of gardeners grow. Really nice, big, thick leeks already, and I'm not really ready to harvest them yet. I'm not looking to harvest till sort of autumn, sort of early winter. We've then got parsnips. Now, I was really worried about parsnips because I sowed some in April, had very sporadic germination, and then I had to sow again in like sort of late May. But the parsnips seem to be catching up. I've kept them quite thinned out, sort of 2 to 3 inches, probably maybe even 4 inches in some of them apart. So they should get nice and big. But at least the 2 that germinated in April are looking massive. So hopefully, definitely going to be some good harvest there. I've also got these little sort of daikon radishes, but I think I needed to sow them a little bit later when the sort of flea beetle has gone to ground, because as you can see, there's lots of these little holes in them, and that's just a sign of flea beetle eating them. But hopefully some of them might make a recovery, otherwise I'll have to repeat sow. They're very quick growing, so I'm not too concerned. And finally, a bit like at the allotment, I've got my Charlotte potatoes here. Now, one thing I will point out is I've got these stakes here all around them, and they were for the broad beans, but I'm leaving them in for the potatoes because I've found growing in my raised beds, obviously I think the soil is quite fertile, there's lots of nitrogen in it. They grow very big, very bushy, very kind of heavy, and they can sort of smother out other plants. So putting some sticks with a little bit of string in between them and things can, help protect your other plants, like my parsnips over here, from getting smothered. So this bed here is, possibly my least favorite at the minute, and I'll show you why. So down here is some dwarf French beans, and if I look closely, there are some starting to come ready, and I'm going on holiday soon, so I think maybe when I get back I'll have a really big picking of these, which will be really good. I have got a couple of onions still left in the ground, and I'm kind of waiting to see if they get any bigger, but the leaves are starting to flop right over now, so I think they might be done, in which case it's just a case of harvesting small onions. Here I've got my Brussels sprout plant, and as per my own advice, I do need to stake it, and there is a little bit of caterpillar damage, but nowhere near as bad as the broccoli, which is great. So, keep that in mind. More sort of dwarf French beans. And over here I've got some lettuces, variety Lola Rosa from some home save seed, and I've got a video on saving your own lettuce seed if you're interested. I'll put a link in. Got a row of carrots in between the lettuce. I had 2 lettuces here, but they're gone, so I might replace those with some beetroot or something. More carrots, seem a little bit sparser germination there. I'm not sure if they've been damaged by something, whether birds picked them out or what, but this bed's doing okay, and I think this bed will transform as the sort of August goes into September. So something I'm definitely not that proud of this year, and a bit of a failure, is the peas. Now, some of these pods here are starting to actually ripen, which is brilliant, and I can feel some big fat peas in there. But in terms of climbing on this sort of arch here, they've not done very well. And what I noticed this year was little birds, I think finches, were just pecking at the plants relentlessly. Whenever I tie them in, or whether I sort of thread them through the sort of gaps in the wire, birds would just come and pull out what I had done, and as a result they never really got into climbing very vigorously. So they're okay, and they're flowering, they're cropping now, and obviously producing, which is brilliant, but just not the same as what they were last year, where they were sort of just about reaching the very top of this archway, which obviously looked brilliant. Whereas with this, they're this side is better than that side. But I think maybe next year when they're younger, I'll try and protect them with some bird netting to make sure they don't get so damaged. So next up is something I'm quite excited on, but I'm not sure if it's a success or a failure yet. But this is a tomato plant called Marmalade, and it's a semi-determinate sort of UK outside growing kind of variety, and producing really well. Nothing ripening yet, and I've kind of got this little sort of cattle fence support in, whereas over here I just let the plants do whatever they want. They're semi-indeterminate, so I wasn't sure if you're meant to support them, so I haven't supported them. And looking down here, there is some absolute whoppers in the mix. Oh my god, and there's even one that's actually ripening. Oh, the days, might be able to taste these soon. But really good plant. So far no touch wood, no sign of blight. But a bit sort of a chaotic jungle. And just before we move on, this is my sweet corn growing here at the garden, and much smaller than what I got at the allotment, so hopefully different harvest times, which will be nice. But not sure if these will ripen in time, basically, is a bit of the concern now. They should be really this time of year a lot bigger, but we'll give it a go, we'll see. These things sometimes work in my favor, and there you go. So just to finish this video, I'll quickly show you what I've got growing in pots, and a lot of this was in my sort of last video about what to sow end of July, beginning of August. So starting over here is my cabbages. These are, Alexander, cabbages for spring, and doing really well. They're on their sort of second true leaf now. I have potted them up into bigger pots just to make sure they're not sort of stunted at all, but obviously we've had some quite dry weather, so watering's been really important. Next up is chard, lovely red stems. Oh, okay, so I'll give you keep stroking you, otherwise he'll knock the plants out of my hand. But yeah, chard, really nice, really good. Turnips here as well. Hello, Wilson. Not going to let me talk now. Multi-sown sort of turnips, and then I've got the beetroot, the spring onions, and I got a few more turnips dotted around as well. But obviously, really looking forward to getting these in the ground and sort of filling in the gaps as they become available in the summer. So I really hope you like this little tour of my sort of allotment and garden. And if you've got any questions about anything you've seen, don't forget to leave a comment. And yeah, if you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you all soon for more videos.